Oh, there we are. Okay, Juan.
Hey Zuri.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, good, good. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I know how to use this. All right, I think I got
Okay.
it.
Never been on this either, so
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what
can't
is
help.
happening? Damaris is on here. We posted it on Cerezo, so hopefully some of them chime in.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but we're gonna have to have you come back when we get more followers. Of course, this business is like a baby. It's like a newborn.
Yeah.
It's like but yeah, so I'll just introduce myself. I am the founder of Powerhouse Connect, advising and consulting, and I am looking to create a community where advising is a norm in terms of support and career development. I think many people who go to college understand advising to like the basic level, but I don't know if everybody always takes full advantage of what advisors can do to support individuals. And also, it's not accessible after you graduate. So that's kind of where the idea was inspired to support people after they don't necessarily have the comfort of higher education and they're kind of trying to figure out their pursuits. But there's much more, and I'm glad Juan is here today because what we hope to do is one, highlight accomplishments of just people winning out in different spaces, and then also a way to encourage, particularly communities, marginalized communities, equipping them with resources, empowerment, and just different ways to connect different people. Oh, hey, Nick, I haven't seen you in like forever. So yeah, so I'm just gonna let Juan introduce himself, and then we're just gonna these are gonna be like snack bite um, what I'm going to call informal convos, just nothing really um, super structured, but just more of a conversation about people's past. So go ahead, Juan.
All right, yeah. My name is Juan Cerezo. I was born in Colombia. I grew up in North Jersey. I attended Rutgers, where I met Zuri. Um, I'm currently in M3 at Temple. Gonna, I'm interested in internal medicine, so I'll be applying internal medicine this cycle and kind of seeing where it goes from there.
Oh, hey. Okay. So, oh yeah. So anybody, if you have any questions for Juan in particular, you could definitely put it in the chat and I'll read them out. And so, yeah, so before I go into the first question, so I did meet Juan I was an advisor at the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. It's a mouthful, SEBS-EOF, the EOF program, which is an Equal Opportunity Fund program in New Jersey and across many universities. And as an EOF alum myself, I had the pleasure of being an advisor, an EOF counselor, and that's where I met Juan. And then we worked together in a sense. He was TA for bio,
Yeah.
yes, Biohouse, a program in the summer, and then after I left and went to Johns Hopkins to advise pre-health students, Juan and I have kept in contact, and I have had the pleasure to see him grow into who he is today. So the first question, I guess, is more about like your journey and so like we know you can talk about your mentorship that you've given and both received, but also how advising played a large role in how you've gotten to where you are.
Yeah, I think for me, advising was definitely very important just because uh, first of all, I didn't really know what aspirations I had before going to college. I wasn't sure if I was going to go to college. And then coming to Rutgers to the EOF program, it was kind of like I was given an opportunity by this program. My parents didn't go, I was an immigrant. My parents didn't go to college, so they didn't really know anything about this. I was kind of just figuring it out by myself. But joining something like the EOF program and having a advisor like you, it was kind of having like a professional actually guide me through what I had to do. Like it wasn't just about the classes, but even just about life. I remember even our sessions we would talk about like finances, like what life after college would be, and uh, and a lot of the career development I thought was very important, just because I didn't go into college thinking I was going to go to medical school. I really had no idea what I was going to do. I came in majoring. I think I picked biochem as my first major just because it sounded cool. So it was, for me, I thought it was very important to have someone to show me, just not just apart from the classes I had to take, but what steps I should be taking overall just to succeed in college and, graduate in 4 years, which I think was a big deal for us as EOF students.
Right, right. So I think it's interesting because I don't know. I know that EOF is unique in a lot of ways, especially since I've been working at Hopkins. Like I see a lot of schools trying to create more supportive environments for students, particularly that come with like layered challenges, whether you're first gen or your family is immigrants, you're a child of immigrants, or yourself, and financial difficulties and just cost and things. And so advising is like there's so many people with the title advisors and higher ed, like, and you never really fully know like who's supposed to do what. You just kind of get transferred, especially at Rutgers. Rutgers is like layered. Like I think we had advisors almost in every unit. So I guess can you talk about like overall like the different type of advising that you've used and which ones you saw were most beneficial in terms of like especially transitioning to even medical school?
Yeah, I think you make a very good point about that, about advisors nowadays. I think the difference in me, like the relationship we had, is that we had a relationship. Like it was more personable. You were someone who not only went to Rutgers, but you were an UF student, so you kind of knew what I was going through. Um, and like I mentioned before, it was more than just like what classes I should be taking. It was just overall what steps I should be doing as a student just to succeed. And then when I eventually decided I wanted to go to medical school, you helped me with what schools we should be applying to, like how the application should look like, interview practice. So I think that that was like a role further than advisors today. It kind of fit.
Right, right. Okay, so I promise I didn't pay him, y'all. He didn't get paid. I didn't tell him to say that. What's interesting is like Juan and I have had the pleasure of working together, and so he's had hand experience with like my advising style and how I try to approach it. And I do think that when it comes to support, even when you're in college and then when you leave, it's really important to know people's story and to help better understand what their motivations would be. So I guess like let's let the people know like why did you choose eventually going into medicine even though like that wasn't your intention?
Um, well, at first, when you join a lot of these programs, everyone's pre-med, and I really didn't even know what it took to be a doctor, and I just, as I go through all my classes were people who were pre-med, I began thinking of the idea like, hey, maybe I could do this. And for me, it really didn't become solid till the EOF program allowed me to shadow Dr. Thomas, which he was an alumni of EOF, and it was someone who his story was really similar to mine. So after I began shadowing him and seeing the work that he did, I really I became inspired to want to go to medical school, and I was like, hey, someone like me could do this, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I started studying for the MCAT, started taking the rest of the classes that I needed because I majored in microbiology. I wasn't like your traditional pre-med.
Right.
So I took like the extra two classes I needed to take to apply to medical school after I started shadowing him, and I think that's really where I was like, I'm gonna give. Like, I kind of was giving it a try.
So like that like step out of like let me see how this goes kind of thing. What was the scariest moment of being like, oh man, like when you had to eventually like declare your major and work towards something? Like what was the most, I guess, challenging thing that you had in the back of your head that was helping you make that decision?
Yeah, I was definitely very scared because I went to SEBS, as you mentioned, the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences at Rutgers. It's a science heavy school. I picked it on the sole basis that I liked science in high school, not really knowing what career I would get out of it. And then since I ended up picking microbiology, I really didn't know what careers would come from that.
Mm,
Like I didn't expect to use it to go to medical school. But I think once I decided, like I solidified something, it was kind of like a weight off my shoulders.
mm,
But it's something that I wanted to do. Like I know I wanted to give back to community. especially the community like that I grew up in. I wanted to be involved in education, and even now I'm still thinking like I want to do something like continue education for medical students. And even as my role, as well, I'll mention later in
Hmm.
LMSA, um, I want to help mentor students just like I was mentored. I so just to tie the theme together, yeah, I think mentoring and advising when I was in at Rutgers, I think that played a huge role in just not only the career decision I chose, but also like it shaped me to be like who I am today.
Right. Definitely. I'm proud of you. I feel like when you got into medical school, I felt like I was like, we got in. So it's interesting to see. I think the best part of advising personally is being able to see people transition from like this, like, I don't really know what's happening here, to having like a confident stand, like, okay, this is what I'm working for. And that growth process is almost like, I don't know, it's to me, it's the equivalent of like a baby finally walking. You're like, yes, like, yes, you finally got it. So I guess I don't know how many people on here, if people have specific questions. I see people going in and out. But I guess first tell us about what you're doing in medical school. Outside of being a medical student, people have lives, guys. Like there is a way to find ways to give back and things like that. So like talk about what you're doing there and maybe how you see your future within medicine specifically, not just like specialty.
Yeah, so like I'm really grateful for all the mentorship I had when I was an undergrad, especially through the EOF program, and I was also in another program. So I know I reach out to EO, I tell EOF all the time, whatever student needs advising for medical school, or if they need just someone to talk to, like they can reach out to me. I definitely mentor a lot of students there. But aside from that, I'm one of the co-directors for the Northeast region of the Latino Medical Student Association. So using that platform, I originally started as a mentorship chair. I would talk to a lot of undergrads there. We would try to establish chapters of LMSA at undergrads, but now we also focus on the medical student side. So basically, our goal is to connect undergrads and medical students with physicians and other kind of mentors that can help them in their career, even if it's outside of medicine. So something like like a service or like a research project.
Right.
So we just want to continue. So through LMSA, we're trying to kind of help the pipeline as much as we can. We want to increase the Latino workforce in physicians just because the demand is high.
Right.
And we also want to build like a family. So like students feel like they're not alone. Like I know I've definitely gone through that even in medical school, like what we call imposter syndrome. So it's nice to have people you can relate to.
Right. So I guess in terms of like as you continue and you transition into you're going into your fourth year,
Yeah.
which means like residency and things are going to be around the corner. You talked about internal medicine, but like if somebody asked you like why, like what's your why medicine, like how do you want to impact the community? You mentioned education and mentorship, but like how do you see you using your role as a physician to impact the community?
Yeah. I think aside from the education and the mentorship part, I mean, a big thing for me is just to show other people who grew up like me that like it's possible to get here. But also as a physician myself, I do want to kind of work in the community I grew up in up here in North Jersey. Um, I do want to help, especially those more in need. Like I know growing up, I was an illegal immigrant. We didn't have health insurance. Like I know what that felt like, and I want to be able to help those families as well. And just being a Spanish speaking physician, it's a big deal. It makes a lot of a difference, especially in patient care. So I want to be able to contribute to that as well.
Awesome. All right. I don't see any questions. Is there anything like you would want like a word of advice to people as they prepare, whether it's for medicine or if they're an undergrad or if they're even outside, like how to think about like navigating your future, like what just the words of advice of, just trying to do life,
I think
even if you're figuring it out yourself still.
and this is an advice I truly do give to a lot of people. I think mentors are really the most important thing. I'm someone who never realized the potential until I had someone guide me through like what I could do. And it's not just again, it's not just being told what to do, but being told that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like as you mentioned before, like me getting into medical school was like our baby. It's it's kind of true. Like my parents don't understand what I was going through. Like they don't understand just how hard it is. They don't understand how applying to med school works. They just related how it is back in Colombia, which is a lot different than here. So having someone that I could celebrate with, like, hey, like I went through all this and I got in, like it
Mm-hmm.
does, it feels great, you know. So I think so. Just to tie it off, yeah, I think mentors and networking. That's like the other big thing I say, and that's where mentors I think help a lot. Mentors have people who have gone through the programs or people who they know have gone through similar things, and they could connect you with people, or even like when you and I used to talk, even if you didn't know the answer to someone, you would ask someone else.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to have.
Word. Well, I appreciate you being the first time ever informal convos. What I hope to do is like gain in a survey like of what people want to hear about, because I think that, I mean, I feel like knowledge, there's so much world for us to all live in. There's no need for anybody to hog gold mines of things that can really help people succeed. So my goal is just to do these like snack time type of conversations and inspire people, also connect people, because that's what Powerhouse Connect is about. And the idea is like, so if you guys are interested in medicine, you guys can go follow Juan. Also, if you're in medicine and you want to be more involved in leadership and community service through LMSA, we'll definitely put that in the information below so that you can connect with those communities where you are as well. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Zuri.
All
Anytime.
right. For sure. You take care in them Philly streets.
Thank
All right.
thank you. You too. I'll see you.